Hello everybody, welcome to the Martial Arts of Sales. I hope everyone had a great weekend. It's a beautiful day today, and if you're watching me on my YouTube channel, just hit the subscribe button below. Please share with others, and also I do appreciate your constructive feedback. I want to talk about a topic and a method that I've been using for 30 years to convert leads into sales and close deals over the phone. Okay, now I didn't create this, but someone taught me and I just expanded on it and made it my style. So I want to give a shout out to and credit to Jordan Belfort. He was the guy from the movie on Wall Street, Wolf on Wall Street. I used to own a company called Stratton Oakmont, which I used to work for his company in Florida called Biltmore Securities. And he taught through his people the straight line syntax, which some of you probably heard of it. Well, I've been using that for 30 years. I worked for the company for about 2 years. I got my Series 7 license. I learned the art of cold calling. And that was the beginning of my sales career. And that is the greatest thing that happened to me as far as sales is concerned. So I implemented my own strategy, but the process is the same. Okay? So here's what it is. Okay, I call it the track to closing more deals. Okay, some of you have probably saw my videos in the past where I talk about the opening, the body, and the close. And you also have to understand that every sale should be the same. In other words, the process should be the same. The customers are different, but there's something all customers have in common. They either need something or they want something. Now, you might get some window shoppers, try kickers, looky loos in your funnel. You get a lot of those out there. So you got to be careful when you're going to get leads that you get good qualified leads. Okay? So here's how it works. You have the opening, the body, and the close. Okay? And if you notice, this is a straight line. But I'm going to do this. I'm going to add a track. I'm going to call it, this is the track. Okay? So, what happens if a train goes off the track? It's going to derail and get into an accident, and a lot of people are going to get hurt, right? What happens if a car is on a 3 or 4 lane highway, they don't look to the rear view mirror or the side mirror, and they just want to go from the fast lane to the slow lane without looking, and they don't see the car, they're going to get into an accident, right? Sales is no different. It's very simple. So, here's what I've developed over the years. When you do the opening of a pitch or presentation, for example, me, most of my business, if not a majority of it, has been over the telephone. So I have about 4 seconds or less to convey that I'm an expert and that I have good perceived value. You have to do that. So the opening of the script is you perceived value. They have to know that from the beginning. Now, typically, in the beginning of a sales call or cold call, you have to understand what they're thinking. Number one is they probably got a lot of phone calls prior to you, and they get frustrated, right? But they still have the problem. So what's going to happen is if you don't get a perceived value from the beginning, you don't have a chance. They're going to hang up on you. So it's important that the first 3 or 4 seconds in the opening of a call, that you develop that and that you have that right off the bat. No doubt about that, because we all initially have a perceived value when we meet people, right? This is no different over the phone. Okay? Now, as you transition into the body, here's the line right here. It's called the resistance line. The resistance line is a stock terminology where you have a stock that's been trading, let's say $5 a share for like 2 years, but the company's doing real well and it's not moving past that line. It's not going past $5. Okay? Or let's say you've been practicing something and you worked hard and you haven't passed that threshold. Like you feel you haven't improved even though you're working hard. That's called the resistance line. Something is resisting it. Okay? So, whenever there's a resistance line, especially in the opening, you have to understand that their goal is to get you off the phone. So, how are they going to get you off the phone? Number one is they're going to tell you they're not interested right off the bat. So, you have to be able to be prepared for that. You have to have the rebuttal for that to diffuse that not interested. As you move forward, they're still resisting. This is the underground. In other words, they're down here. You got to get them up here, right? So they're underground. Then the second thing they may come up with, let's say you get through the first 2 or 3 minutes, right? Now they may come up and say they're too busy, but they've been on the phone with you, right? So when you go through the opening, you have to get them coming from under here, and you got to get them right on the track. Because here's what happens. If you don't, there's a saying, there's no business in Pluto. There's no business in Mars. So in other words, they're going to try to throw you off the track by giving you objections. And there's certain objections that if you answer it with the answer they want, you're going to give them the tool or the weapon to hang up on you or to shoot you. Okay? So there is no business in Pluto. So whenever you deal with an objection, they're all here, you got to bring them back to the track. Does that make sense? Okay. Now you're getting into the body. Now they're right here. Okay? They're still in the resistance line, but they're getting closer to being on the track. So the body, between the opening to the body, hopefully you've done one important thing, and that is that you increased your value. I call it intrinsic. Again, that's a stock terminology, where now the stock is moving up. You are the stock. You've been here. You got to get here. So now they went from underground to the resistance line, but they haven't passed that threshold yet. But they're getting there because you got them there. So that's the body, the intrinsic. How do you build value in the intrinsic or the body? Is you have to understand the art of storytelling. I talk a lot about that. You have to be able to peel the onion. In other words, you start to show who you are, how valuable you are to the customer. That you have to get them not to regret that they stood on the phone with you. That the greatest thing that happened is they stood on the phone with you. You have to continue to earn that trust and build that trust and the rapport. In other words, the rapport you build with them. They have to know in the body and the art of storytelling that you are an expert, that you are a problem solver, that you are their guy. That's the body. That's the art of storytelling. Now, you may get objections within the body, but they're more buying questions than they are objections. If you do it right. Okay? So every once in a while, they may want to take you to Mars, but you bring them back to the track. Again, if you stay focused on the process, not focus on the commission or getting a credit card or anything like that, if you focus on them, making it about them, you're going to be more successful. Because remember this, you are a customer just like I am. And when we're presented something, we want to be given the attention we deserve, right? We don't care about anything else. It's about us at that point, right? It's no different. You're playing the reverse role now. So you got to make it about them. So now they're at the resistance level through the body. Then you got it from underground to the resistance level. But they haven't broken through yet. Within the body, if you do the art of storytelling, and you have conviction, and you persuade them, and you let them know that you're valuable, that you're an expert, that you're a professional, that you're their guy, you're going to transition to the close. before we get into the close, in my experience in 30 years, 90% of the sale typically happens in the body, or 90% of the deal goes bad within the body. I want you to think about that. So the meat and potatoes is in the body. It's in the art of storytelling. Does that make sense? So now we get to the close. By the time you get to the close, they're already done. They want to own what you're offering them. They want you to be their guy. They want you to be the person they go to. Why is that important? Because of referrals and reviews and followers and all the good stuff. So the close. When you do the close, it's not really about getting the credit card or earning the commission. I mean, obviously you want to do that. Sometimes you can't do the one-call close. Sometimes you have to do the follow call. But let's just keep it simple. Let's say this is a one-call close. To make sure that that deal is solidified, that there's not a chargeback or that they change their mind after they hang up the phone, you got to make sure that at the end of the conversation, when you're hanging up the phone, that you absolutely gave them real value. They need to see that there's a win-win situation. They need to see that you solved their problem. They need to see the value that you gave them. They need to see how they're going to generate more business, more profits. Because once they hang up the phone, you have no defense. They start to think about, analyze, and start to justify. Once they start to justify, the game is over. They're going to charge back. If you did it right and you're the guy and they have conviction and they see it, they're excited when they get off that phone. Man, finally, they're happy to have given you that credit card. Think about that. So it's a straight line path. You know, when you establish this and you become really proficient, you could start with the close and wind up in the middle. And this is basically the script. So I build my scripts based upon this path. The opening, the body, the close. And the opening and the body and the close happens in everyday life. Movies, music, personal relationships. Think about that. So, there's no money on Pluto. Okay? There's no money in Mars. You got to make sure you get them up from the underground to the resistance level or to the resistance line, and then break through that line when you get to the body. And here are the 5 major objections that you will probably get within this process. Number 1 is not interested. Number 2, I'm too busy. Number 3, I have no money. Number 4 is too much, it costs too much. And then number 5, I have too many customers. Those are typically the 5 objections that you'll receive from the opening going to the body. And it's your job within that transition to diffuse any of those objections. Does that make sense? And I'm going to be going over these rebuttals individually in another video and giving you strategies and objections to diffuse each and every one of those, that they don't come up again. But I want to thank you for being part of the martial arts of sales. I truly hope that this has been helpful, and I hope that you take advantage of it, that you implement it, that you develop it, because it's only going to help you. And if you're working in a call center or you got a lot of salespeople and you make a 1 or 2, 3% improvement, you're going to outperform a lot of the other salespeople. Trust me on that. So, again, I want to thank you for being part of the martial arts of sales. Till we speak again, I say goodbye. Have a great day.